안녕하세요. Welcome to Friday's edition of The Culture Wave. I'm Kwon-Soo in Seoul. Explore with us Korea's culture from K-entertainment to K-trends, K-sports, K-everything. And all of that together with our Friday co-host, Walter Lee. Hello, Walter.
Hello, Soa, and hello to all the viewers at home. This is Walter Lee. Stick around for all the latest in K-Enter news.
Well, our viewers won't have to stick around for too long because for a change, we're actually going to start with K-Enter news today.
That's exactly right.
So let's get right into it, Walter. We start off with an act of kindness from a BTS member.
A very big act of kindness, actually. Yes, Hope Bridge Korea Disaster Relief Association announced on Thursday that BTS member J-Hope donated 100 million Korean won, which is roughly around $68,000 to support victims of the Jeju Air tragedy in Muan, the international airport in Jeonnam-do province. Now, according to the association, J-Hope, upon hearing the news of the accident, decided to provide some assistance to the families who suffered losses. He reportedly said, "I extend my deepest condolences and comfort to the bereaved families, as well as everyone grieving during this tragedy." Now, as a member of the Hope Bridge Honours Club for high-value donors, J-Hope has also donated funds for the flood relief last year.
Well, we certainly applaud J-Hope for reaching out to the families. And again, our heart goes out to the victims' families. Now, Walter, we are going to now move on to a K-movie or K-movies.
Yes, we are. So the movie Secret Untold Melody, based on a 2008 Taiwanese film of the same name, has confirmed its release date for January 28th and unveiled its main trailer. Now, Secret Untold Melody is a fantasy romance film that captures the miraculous and magical moments between a pianist known as Yoo-jun. Now, he's played by EXO member Do Kyung-soo, or better known as D.O., who has an encounter in a rehearsal room with Chong-ah, played by Won Jin-ah. Now, Yoo-jun's career is abruptly halted by an injury, and it's up to Chong-ah to reignite his passion for music, and leading him to uncover a secret that transcends time. Now, with its main trailer blending magical moments and love and beautiful piano melodies, Secret Untold Melody is set to emotionally resonate with audiences this winter.
And you know what's also resonating with the audience this winter is a lot of musicals, and we're actually going to end off with K-musicals.
Yes, we are. So this is very interesting. According to the Korea Performance Arts Box Office Information System, Aladdin recorded the highest ticket revenue among musicals in 2024. Now, what's interesting is that Aladdin, based on obviously the animated film Aladdin of the same name, premiered only in November of last year. So the sole run of Aladdin is scheduled to continue until June of this year. With the musical, the second highest ticket sales was Frankenstein, which only began performance in June of 2024. So it's quite interesting to see that with Aladdin only being 2 months at the end of 2024 to record the highest amount of tickets. Third was Chicago, that was also released in June 2024. Now, last year's total musical ticket sales reached 465 billion Korean won, roughly $317 million, and that's actually a 1.3 increased revenue compared to 2023.
So I was actually also trying to, get a ticket for Aladdin and last year, and already until January or February, many of the tickets were sold out.
Yes.
But I still have until June.
Yes, you have a while.
All right, thank you very much, Walter, and stick around.
Will do.
And time now to go over to our AI anchor Ari for other culture-related news.
Welcome to the Culture Wave AI News. Let's jump right into today's first story. Korea's webtoon industry reached a historic milestone in 2023, surpassing 2 trillion won in annual revenue for the first time. According to government data, total revenue climbed to nearly 2.2 trillion won, or around $1.5 billion, marking an impressive 20% increase from the previous year. The industry's global expansion played a pivotal role in this growth. with Japan accounting for over 40% of exports, followed by North America at roughly 20%. With strong performance both at home and abroad, the webtoon sector continues to solidify its position as a cornerstone of Korea's creative content industry. The government is ramping up efforts to improve entertainment accessibility for people with disabilities. The Culture Ministry, along with the Korea Creative Content Agency, has released a report analyzing key factors needed to enhance game accessibility for the hearing impaired. The report highlights that players with hearing loss rely more on in-game options than external assistive devices, and their priorities include various visual indicators and subtitles in simplified language. Experts suggest incentivizing companies that advance gaming accessibility for disabled people, rather than imposing mandatory requirements, to encourage broader adoption of inclusive practices. The National Museum of Modern and Contemporary Art attracted the largest number of international visitors last year since its opening in 2013. A total of around 220,600 foreign visitors explored the museum's 4 branches located in Seoul, Hwacheon, Deoksugung Palace, and Cheongju. Among them, Americans accounted for the largest proportion at 27%, followed by Europeans and Chinese. The majority were in their 20s and 30s, reflecting the museum's growing appeal among younger visitors. The cumulative number of foreign visitors across the museum's 4 locations has surpassed 1 million. That's all for now. Stay tuned to the Culture Wave.
"2025 might be a year without major international sporting events like the Olympics or the World Cup, but there's still plenty for Korean sports fans to keep an eye out for. Jin gives us a peek into what's on the sports events calendar this year.
The Korean Basketball League's New Year's match, traditionally played late in the evening on New Year's Eve, brought 2024 to a close and ushered in 2025 with a moment of silence amidst the national period of mourning for the victims of the Jeju Air plane crash. With no cheerleading activities, the arena was filled only with the voices of the 4,800 spectators. No major international sporting events like the Olympics or the World Cup are scheduled in 2025, but there are many competitions to look forward to for Korean sports fans. In February, from the 7th to the 14th, Korean athletes are set to compete in the 9th Asian Winter Games held in Harbin, China. 150 athletes from South Korea will participate in skating, skiing, and curling events.
We will repay the many people cheering for us with good performances and results.
In 2024, professional baseball became a sport of the Korean people, as the number of spectators in attendance surpassed 10 million. The 2025 KBO League will kick off its new season on March 22nd. The 2025 season is expected to bring in full crowds as top teams have reinforced their power and some of the best foreign players have joined the league. The 3rd round of FIFA World Cup Asian qualifiers is also being held in March. The South Korean national football team, led by coach Hong Myung-bo, will play against Oman on March 20th and Jordan on the 25th. And for soccer fans worldwide, the 21st edition of the FIFA Club World Cup will be played in the United States from June 14th to July 13th as a prelude to the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Once limited to the 7 winners of the Continental Club competitions competing every year, 32 teams now compete every 4 years. Ulsan HD will represent South Korea in the FIFA Club World Cup 2025 due to their ranking in Asia. In the second half of the year, there will be South Korean representation at the World Aquatics Championships in Singapore in July and the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo in September. Jin, Arirang News.
And that was a look into the key sports events that are coming up in 2025. Now, for the latest sports issues, we have our sportscaster Jason Lee in the studio. Jason, welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Now, Jason, let me actually start with asking you, which sports event are you looking forward the most this year, either among the schedule that we just saw in the report or any other event?
Well, certainly I'm very biased as a baseball announcer in Korea, so certainly I'm very much looking forward to the baseball season in 2025. I think in particular, I'm curious to see if Kim Do-young can repeat what he did the previous season. Of course, he hit 38 home runs and stole 40 bases while hitting 247. Just ridiculous numbers for a 20-year-old kid. So was that like just catching lightning in a bottle, or will he be able to repeat that feat or something at least similar to that in 2025? I'll definitely be watching. I think the biggest story that Koreans are going to be following in 2025 will, however, be the contract situation with Son Heung-min. So his contract with Tottenham expires in June of now this year. The transfer window is actually open right now until February the 3rd. So it's possible. I highly doubt it's going to happen now, but it is possible that he could actually be transferred to another team. There have been teams rumored as far as Saudi Arabia, perhaps in Germany. It could be, you know, in La Liga. There's any number of teams would be fortunate to have a player like Son Heung-min, but I don't think it's going to happen right now because I think they need him on their team right now, as they have kind of struggled as of late, falling to the middle of the pack. But especially by the time we get to June, if it hasn't been resolved prior to that, watching where will Son Heung-min play for the second half of 2025, I think is going to be a very big question to follow.
All right. Now, you just mentioned baseball and soccer. Those are actually the two keywords for our issues today.
Yeah.
And we're going to start with baseball. Now, the beginning of a new year also means the beginning of a new team for some people. And let's talk about Korean baseball player Kim Hae-sung. So he has less than 24 hours before he can sign a new contract with a team at the MLB or Major League Baseball team, or he would have to return to Kium Heroes in Korea. So what is the latest update regarding him?
Yeah, that's right. Right now, as we talk live, I think he's got about 17, maybe 16 hours left. And as of now, he has not signed with a major league team. He has to by 7 a.m. Saturday morning, Korean time. I believe that's around 5 in Pacific time zone or over in North America. But regardless, he has to sign with a team. There have been reportedly 5 teams that have offered him a contract. Now, the question is, are any of those to his liking? The most sensible team right now, a new team has kind of become the front runner to sign Kim Hae-sung, and that's the LA Angels. And I think one of the reasons, first off, they have a second baseman. Luis Renifo had a really good season last year, so he's already their second baseman. But the talk is that they would then move Luis Renifo to third base and allow Kim Hae-sung to play second base for LA. But another reason that this deal makes a lot of sense for them is that they play in Orange County, which has a very large Korean population. So any amount of money that they would spend on Kim Hae-sung, they're probably going to make that back twofold in terms of jersey sales, ticket sales, people going to watch them, maybe people in Korea buying Angels jerseys and hats and stuff like that. So this is a deal that makes a lot of sense financially for the Angels. Other teams, I've said before that the Mariners make a lot of sense because they have an opening at second base. The Padres, we'll talk a little bit more about them, but they absolutely make a lot of sense as they have an opening perhaps at second base or other places in their infield, depending on how they're going to move around Jay Cronenworth or other players like that. Other teams that have been linked to Kim Hae-sung has been the Blue Jays, who recently traded for Jimenez from Cleveland. So they're kind of involved as well, as he can play multiple positions. The Cleveland Indians, who sent Jimenez to the Jays, they now have an opening at second base. So would they be willing to spend some money for him? The Pittsburgh Pirates as well, and the Cincinnati Reds. The latter few are kind of smaller market teams that don't typically spend as much money on free agents. But the thing is that the amount of money that seems to be rumored to be what they're going to get him for, it seems very, very low. So going into the start of the posting process, I thought Kim Hae-sung would command something like $40 to $50 million over a 5-6 year contract. So if you look back to last year and Lee Jung-hoo, less than half of that. but it seems that his market has really deflated down to as low as 15 million over 3 years has been rumored, 28 million over 4 years. So just looking at the amount of money that has been rumored right now, I think there can be more teams joining in the bid, and I think those are some of the rumors that we're hearing, but we should have a definitive answer in the next 15 or so hours.
Looking forward to, or I mean, I would like to know what happens in those hours.
I feel like obviously a lot of people want to go to the MLB. So with less than 24 hours until the deadline for Kim to sign with a Major League Baseball team, how likely is it that he actually doesn't sign with the team and actually does return to the KBO for a full season?
So this has a couple of different, positive and negative views. So first off, let's say that Kim were to return to the Kim. Let's say he doesn't like any of the offers that he's been given and sees it as a slap in the face. So you know what? I want to spend more time in the KBO. Typically, when you're posted, you might have 2 more seasons before reaching free agency. But in Kim's situation, he actually only has to play 1 more season to become an outright free agent, which would mean that this time next year, he could make another bid at Major League Baseball, and the Kium Heroes, his team, would not receive any compensation for him. So let's say hypothetically, if he were to sign for $28 million over 4 years, then Kium would take around $3.5, $4 million as compensation. But let's say that Kim does this next year and he gets the same deal. Well, he can just make an extra $3 or $4 million because Kium is not going to get that as a compensatory fee. So he could make more money next season than he's making this year. Also, because of the fact that Lee Jung-hoo was injured just a month into his major league career, if Lee Jung-hoo goes out and has like a solid season, if he hits 300, hits 20 home runs, then all of a sudden Major League Baseball teams are going to say, well, hey, Lee Jung-hoo was a KBO player. Look at what he did. Kim Hae-sung is going to be capable of doing that. Let's pay him more. Whereas if you look at this past season, the injury to Lee Jung-woo, the injury to Kim Hae-sung of San Diego, Koreans did not have a good year in 2024, and I think that's deflated the value of the market right now for Kim Hae-sung. So it's possible. Having said that, I think a deal will get done in the 12th hour, and I think a good example of that was Ryu Hyun-jin. When he signed with the Dodgers, it was literally minutes before he finished signing that contract, as well as Ko Woo-suk last year when he signed with the San Diego Padres. Both, it was in the last hour, if not the final few minutes before a deal was struck. So I think something like that would happen again this year, especially because there are multiple teams that are being rumored around his name.
Oh, so I guess it's pretty common to have that last-minute deal signed.
Anything you can do to gain a little bit of leverage in negotiation. Both sides are trying to use the clock to their advantage, so we'll see what happens.
Interesting. Now, we're now going to talk about not Kim Hae-sung, but actually his former teammate Kim Ha-sung. And he actually was, of course, with the San Diego Padres that you earlier mentioned, where actually Kim Hae-sung could also maybe potentially join.
Take over his job.
Right, exactly, because Kim Ha-sung actually rejected an extension with Padres. It was an $8 million offer. So what's going to happen with Kim Ha-sung? Where is he going to go and when?
That's a very good question. So as you mentioned, Kim Ha-sung originally signed a $28 million contract for 7 years, but for 4 years. But once those 4 years are done, they had a mutual option at $8 million. San Diego said, yeah, we'll give you an extra $8 million, which is, more than the $7 million per year that he was signed to. We'll give you $8 million to return. Kim Ha-sung said, no, I think I deserve more than that. So he opted out of that contract, and probably wisely so. I think, he could easily earn something like 10, 12, maybe even $15 million in the open market. The problem is that Kim Ha-sung ended the season with a shoulder injury. It required surgery. So because of that, he's not healthy right now. And I think teams are a little bit reluctant to want to spend, $10 to $15 million on a 6 or 7 year contract to a player who has just gone over surgery. So I think a more likely scenario as to what we'll probably see is either he's going to get a smaller contract for maybe 2 or 3 years, maybe something like $45 million over 3 could be possible. But I think what's more likely is that he'll sign a 1-year contract on essentially like a prove-it deal. So maybe he'll get like $10 to $12 million for 1 year, and then after next season, he'll try to get his big 5 or 6 year contract to end his career with a team on a big dollar contract. But I think the second question to that is, because he suffered an injury, it's not even certain that he's going to be ready to play by opening day. And that's the other issue. So is he going to be able to play in April? Is he going to be, maybe till May or June until he can play again? I think teams are going to be more eager to wait until he's healthy, till they get a better timeline as to when he'll be able to start to play. So I think once we get a better idea of, I'm fully healthy now, I'm throwing, I'm batting, once we see video of that kind of stuff, I think we'll get a better idea of teams being interested in bidding for his services.
I see.
Let's move on to 2 other names now. What about Lee Jong-hoo in San Francisco and obviously Go Woo-seok in Miami? What are their expectations around them for the new year?
Very good question. First off, Lee Jong-hoo only played a month of last season. I think he clearly did not meet expectations that he would have for himself. I think he did fair, but certainly not great. So I think this year he's going to come back with gangbusters. Word is that he is fully recovered from his shoulder surgery and is expected to lead off again this year for San Francisco. So we will hope for better results. And I certainly, based on his talent, expect him to have a very strong season. On the other hand, Go Woo-seok, who was a late signing again with San Diego, he struggled last year, did not get into a Major League Baseball game, in fact spent the season in minor league baseball, and then was eventually traded from San Diego to Miami. Now, remember, he was on the same team as Kim Ha-sung, and then now had to go across the country to play in Miami. And even when he got to Miami, the first thing that they did there is they sent him down to the minors again. He struggled even there. So it'll be interesting to see if he's able to work himself back up to the major league level. To be honest, I think there is a realistic possibility that he might just pack it up. If he doesn't get the results that he wants early on, I could see him perhaps saying, you know what, I signed a 2-year contract. I don't see this going the way that I imagined or envisioned it going. Maybe it's better for me to just return to Korea, go back to the LG Twins, which is a certain possibility. We saw that happen before with Park Byung-ho, who signed with the Minnesota Twins, only stayed for 2 years before returning to Korea with, at the time, Kium. So it is a possibility, and I wonder if that might happen.
Looks like we're going to have lots of updates the next time we talk about baseball. But Jason, we're going to move on to soccer now. Now, there was a Korean derby in the English Premier League between Son Heung-min and Hwang Hee-chan and Son Heung-min, and because they played not together, but of course in their respective teams, and that was an interesting match. Can you tell us about it?
Absolutely was. Obviously, every Korean's going to want to watch that game. Wolverhampton and Tottenham butting heads against each other. And Hwang Hee-chan got the start in this game, and for a second straight game, scored a goal. And, I think he knew, Son Heung-min, I'm sure both knew that every Korean is going to be watching this game, so I better show up and show out. And certainly, Hwang Hee-chan scored the first goal of the game. It was on a set play as well. So with a free kick, they rolled the ball to him. He took the shot, scored a beautiful goal. And I do also want to note, after scoring that goal, for his celebration, he gave a moment of silence for the victims of the Jeju Air Flight 737 to show that he's got them on his mind as well. I thought that was a very touching moment. In this game, it was a 2-2 draw now. Unfortunately for Son Heung-min fans, he had an opportunity to score as well. He had a penalty kick that he missed, however, and in the end, this game would end in a 2-2 draw. So you could say advantage to Hwang Hee-chan for the result in this game, though.
Yes, and we've talked a lot about Yang Min-hyuk, who was the youngest Korean ever to sign with an English Premier League side. He just arrived in London last month, but I understand another Korean recently set a new record for the youngest Korean to make an appearance in the English Premier League match.
That's right. You are obviously talking about Kim Ji-soo, who got into a game for Brentford at just 20 years old and 3 days. So that betters the previous record by Ji Dong-won, who played for Sunderland at 20 years and 3 months. That was about a decade ago. And you know, this game, he didn't start the game. He went in as a substitute in the second half, and he actually just played yesterday as well as he subbed in once again. So he's played back-to-back games as a substitute. He's actually a center back, so he's the first Korean center back to play in the Premier League and the youngest ever to put on the jersey so far as well. But as you mentioned, of course, Yang Min-hyuk, he's only 18 years old, and you would imagine sometime in the next 2 years, I wouldn't be surprised if he breaks that record as well.
Wow, younger, who's going to be the youngest?
Right,
So looking
exactly.
forward to those rising stars in the world of sports, and also looking forward to all of our sports talks in the year 2025. Thank you for today, Jason.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
And thank you, Walter. I hope you have a great weekend and see you next week.
See you soon.
Thank you for spending the past half an hour with us on the Culture Wave. We'll be back next Monday at 2 p.m. Korea time, and hope you join us again next weekend, maybe one day here in Korea.